Welcome to Turtle Media. Today we've got the project S55. We've got some big plans arranged for this vehicle, but first of all we're going to do an interior wrap. We're changing the horrible wood interior, we're going to change it to a brushed aluminium spec. So if you like this video, like, share and subscribe. We've got Chris on the camera, he'll be helping out with some of the wrapping. Let's get on to it.
Okay, so the first part is to remove all the trim panels that we plan on wrapping. We start off with the window switch trims and the passenger and driver's door handle trims. So they're just using the pry tool and on clips, a few plugs in the back. Just being careful not to apply too much pressure so as to avoid any damage. Next we move on to removing the glove box, and that's just 4 Phillips screws. That allows us to gain access to the 2 7mm nuts that are just behind the dash that are holding in the upper trim, which has of course the hazards and the other functions for the suspension buttons at the top. So once they're removed, it's onto the pry tool again, breaking it away from the clips and working my way across the dash. Then we just need to remove the 2 plugs in the back, and then we're on to the stereo surround trim. A few Torx at the top, just above the command system, and then 2 lower next to the ashtray, and that allows us to pry away the ashtray and the air conditioning control buttons. Again, just 2 plugs here. Car had to be turned on at this point just to get the car in gear to allow us the space, and then we've got the gear selector trims and the little storage trim just behind. We also removed the rear passenger door trims and this central heating system trim. That's just on the pry bar, no nuts or bolts for this bit, and 2 plugs behind there. Simple removal. Now to start the wrapping, we're starting off with the window switch trims, and we're just using the new heat gun, applying a bit of heat to allow it to stretch around the corners, releasing any bubbles, making sure that we get a clean contact with the trim. Also with a bit of heat afterwards, just to try and prevent it lifting in the future. But the first one goes okay. Big thanks to Grafityp in Tamworth with this part of the project. This is where we got the vinyl from, and it's a brushed metallic titanium. It's part of their Air Escape product line. Really good vinyl, really easy to work, and with their Air Escape products, very good at minimal bubbles and very easy to remove if you do get them. So great help from them guys over in the showroom. Good price as well. You can visit them on grafityp.co.uk. They've got a huge selection of vinyls, metallics, chromes, brush steels, etc., and also a huge selection of tools, PPF, all the things you need for your wrapping projects yourselves. So definitely worth checking them out. Made quite a few relief cuts for this circular section, just to try and ensure we didn't put the vinyl under too much stress. Plenty of heat again, all the bubbles out, and we're just putting back together the window control trim. So the next thing was onto the door handle trims. These were quite difficult due to their shape. Again, plenty of heat required just to stretch it around. I also realised in this part that I'd got a little bit too much excess, which we learned the lesson when we moved on to the rear door sections. A little bit too much vinyl in the way just as we were trying to work it around the corners, but we managed to come out with a relatively decent job again. Again, the vinyl here is very good quality and makes it nice and easy to get it into all the tight shapes that's required. So we're just finishing off the door handles for the front and just trying to get rid of any air bubbles and lifts. Unfortunately, due to the age of the car, the wood veneer has lifted and damaged slightly, which does look like there's bubbles underneath the vinyl, but this is actually the wood lifting away from the chrome trim. So we've decided that we're just going to order some new ones. You will be able to see in the next clip when they're on the table that it does look like there's some serious air bubbles in there, but as I said, that's just the veneer coming away. So we'll replace them and hopefully they'll look a bit better. So it's onto the big top section of the trim, just removing the hazard button, suspension controls and whatever else is on them selection of buttons. Give it a little clean, make sure there's no dust or grease on there. Cut it to length. It's where we started learning our lesson that we don't want too much excess vinyl, and just trying to line it up. Start folding over the edges. A little bit of stretch, a little bit of heat. Start working our way from end to end. Pushing it over. Still got a little bit too much excess, couple of relief cuts in there just to help get it around the corners. Just finishing off cutting the holes for the buttons to go back in, and then finally onto screwing them back in with the Torx screws. So we're onto the ashtray trim now. Fortunately, the front section of the ashtray come away, which made it a little bit easier to wrap. Couple of fine small sections in there to work with, but again, bit of patience, bit of heat, and that all went back on absolutely fine as well. So I'm just finishing off the storage compartment trim there. It's quite fiddly because of the tight corners. And then we're on to the air conditioning control trim. And this one had a few challenges just because of the amount of holes that needed to be cut. A few relief cuts in the middle again. Relatively flat, so not really a huge amount of stretching on this one. But again, a little bit of heat, a little bit of time and patience. And this one turned out quite nice also. I think one of the hardest sections that we had on this project was the gear selector section that I'm currently working on. We've got Chris over there working on cleaning up of the black plastic areas and the ashtray section, which was extremely helpful. We covered up all the wood section and actually made some new gear selector letters which went on. They look pretty cool after they've been finished. So then we was joined by the Turtle Media young apprentice, who, as you can see, working hard, helping us with the wraps there. I'm just working on some of the smaller intricate bits. This is the section that we ended up creating some new letters for, using the old vinyl cutting machine. So we've got a new park, reverse, neutral and drive indicators. Got little Leo there, continuing to try and just make himself as comfy as possible. Now I'm just putting back together the gear selector section. We kept the chrome, which was broken up quite nicely by the black outer trim that Chris has just removed all of the resin from, and that went back together okay. Unfortunately, we did bend it a little bit as we was taking it apart, but we managed to sort of bend it back into position, and it's gone back together pretty well. Again, taking the plastic interior away from it, the heater vents and the controls. And Chris is going to work on them, cleaning them up. Over the years they've got pretty rough. And I think this is probably the hardest trim piece to wrap, just because of the amount of bend and deflection that it's got in it. Not only front to back but left to right as well. So this one required quite a bit of time. A few times I had to peel it back up and try again. But with a bit of persistence and just trying to work the edges using the squeegee tool, again quite a bit of heat required in some sections. Again, the Grafityp vinyls worked brilliantly in this application on the back. So Chris has started the rear door handle trims at this point. I'm just finishing off the rear heater controls, putting it back together, putting the clips in, screwing it down, and I'm going to work on the rear passenger door. And not quite as difficult as the front doors, this one. Tried to leave a little less excess on the vinyl, made it a little bit easier to work. Quite tough around the last bits as they kick back over into the door itself. Yeah, and plenty of heat, a couple of relief cuts where needed. Push it all down with the new Amazon's finest squeegee system. And overall, quite happy with the outcome of the rear section. So after completing the rear section, it was time to put the car back together. So first of all, the big long trim piece, 2 plugs in the back in. Start pushing it back into position. Luckily we never broke any clips taking it out. Hammer that down. And then not forgetting the 2 7mm nuts that sit just underneath the dash where the glove box goes. And then the centre sections and the front door trims, again they're just hammered back into position with the clips. Top of the command system and the little storage section where the cup holder is. That just slides back on. Next we're putting back the window switch control trims. Again they just slide into position. And then onto the heater and aircon controls along with the ashtray. just 2 Torx bolts to secure that, remembering to put all the plugs back in the back. Then Chris is going to move on to the driver's side trim, hammer that in place, and the driver's side window switch control trims. Again, they just drop back into position and clip into place at the bottom. Now the gear selector trims, a little bit fiddly, just making sure we're not catching any of the wires underneath. And it's quite tight there between the 2 trim sections, and you can see now our newly created gear selector system. Unfortunately, we forgot to do the gear knob itself at this point, but that has been done since, and now is the same colour as the rest of the trim. And the final bit was the glove box, and this went in first time, no problem. Definitely didn't have to be taken out 4 or 5 times. And that now means that all of the trim is back in the car and the interior has been fully wrapped. So thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. We've got some big plans for this vehicle. Stay tuned for the next one.